Greetings and welcome to the channel. My name is Dr. Gyesie, transformational coach and shamanic leadership guide here at Inner Mileage, where we help folks understand the traumatic roots of their limiting self-beliefs and to overcome themselves to live resonant lives right here. Today we're going to talk a little bit about why it's important for the empath to really dissociate themselves from all narcissistic energies, including cutting off if this is available to you. Because you see, when an empath finally wakes up to their relationships, it isn't a soft, gentle shift. It isn't. It's surgical, traumatic, and absolutely necessary. What do I mean? You begin to see the narcissists you protected, the manipulators you called friends, the family members who you honored while they dishonored your soul. And you realize it's all been energetic theft masquerading as love. But that's when the choice arrives, whether you're going to gray rock, yellow rock, or go no contact. And it's important to realize that although these are good interventions, they are not solutions. They are transition strategies. They are triage protocols. And if you want to really heal, if you really want to reclaim your life, you must sever the cord completely. And no contact isn't cruelty, it is consciousness. So what does the empath's awakening really look like when you've escaped or have escaped narcissistic abuse? See, when an empath really, truly wakes up, it's not because someone said the right thing, it's because the nervous system reached full capacity. And the body, the soul, and the psyche can no longer pretend. Which is why your awakening process feels like sudden disgust with people who once felt like home. That happens. A visceral physical response to subtle manipulation. And recognition of patterns you swore were love, but now are revealed as emotional warfare. This is what we call the rupture, and not a nervous breakdown, but a nervous revelation. And this is backed by science. Particularly Harvard Medical School in 2022 found that empaths exhibit overactive mirror neuron systems, creating deep susceptibility to trauma bonding. And in Dr. Van der Kolk's work, they realized that the body keeps a precise ledger, like a blockchain of betrayal. And awakening is a result of reaching an emotional breaking point, not enlightenment. So here's where you realize that psychological tools are adequate but not enough. Particularly when we look at the three tools that are recommended. Let's go into the gray rock and the yellow rock. So gray rock means you become boring, unresponsive, and emotionless. And you use this when you're still under surveillance at work, in public, or where exposure is inevitable. The limitations to gray rocking is it fractures your authenticity because you suppress emotions to avoid harm, which perpetuates the trauma in your body. So gray rock is a shield, not a long-term solution. Very useful, right? Then there's the yellow rock, which is polite minimalism, right? Especially using co-parenting or legal situations, for example. And it's important to use this when no contact could cause legal or safety repercussions, right? The limitations are the narcissist is still in your field because you have to interact with them, and you're managing their ego to preserve your own peace. That's not peace, that's performance, right? But again, it's certainly way better than still being under the spell of Jezebel. And then there's the no contact, which is to cut it all, phone, email, texting, hope. And you use this when you're done tolerating abuse disguised as obligation. The only limitation is if you're still attached to any fantasy of reconciling with a narcissist. Otherwise, it isn't a limitation. It's actually the key to your freedom. So if you're serious about healing, you must cut off every relationship connection and energetic tie that is not aligned to your purpose. This is not up for debate, or you can't debate it if you want. Why? Because your nervous system isn't built to heal this in the same environment that created the breakdown, right? So multidimensionally, when you begin to analyze the benefits of cutting people off from a spiritual perspective, clarity returns. Clarity returns because ancestral energy flows back to you. Your intuition gets louder because interference is gone. And psychologically, trauma bonds collapse. Your internal identity reconstruction is underway, and you're no longer susceptible to gaslighting by the narcissist and their ilk. Physically, you're able to rest deeper because you're no longer susceptible to the shenanigans of the narcissist that kept you on survival mode, which depleted your energy. Your cortisol and adrenaline levels stabilize, and you stop living in survival mode. And then emotionally, as a result of cutting off the narcissist, your emotional flashbacks reduce, grief becomes real discernment, and you stop apologizing for the truth. You stop. You just begin to embody the truth and stop apologizing for that, which leads to the connection with your divine higher self, where your higher self returns to the driver's seat. You begin to align with divine timing, not survival cycles, and you become incompatible with anything that requires codependence, especially unhealthy codependence. So where does this bring us? It brings us straight to the shore of forgiveness, which is important to explore in the context of all we've talked about, because forgiveness is internal. Reconciliation is conditional, and they're not the same, right? So forgiveness is about your own inner alchemy, your own responsibility to yourself to ensure that negative energies don't persist in your worldview. And it doesn't require contact nor remorse or accountability, because this forgiveness is largely for your own soul, if you believe there's such a thing, your own nervous system, and your own vibrational attunement. So forgiveness does not require interaction with the abuser. Now, on the other hand, reconciliation is to remember that it's not something that is part of what you're worried about, because reconciliation is the responsibility of the other party if they want it. And it requires humility, accountability, change, and consistent safety. So it's not your business to create that. And importantly, most narcissists are incapable of offering this, so don't waste your time, right? When you realize what you are dealing with, the one thing to do that is a surefire bet is to cut it off and move on. So obviously there are exceptions to most things. And so we realize that in practical reality, some people can't be fully cut off yet. That includes co-parents, right? So hopefully you have boundaries there. It also includes supervisors or people you might be on boards with. It may include some family members because of some short-term proximity needs. So what do you do in those scenarios, for example? Well, you can time box interactions. That's important. You can have scripted communication, making sure you're not off script. You can use energetic shield and rituals to protect yourself. You can get involved in cord cutting meditations where you're always calling back your power and pushing away any energies that don't belong to you. And then certainly, and most importantly, stop giving access to your nervous system to these people, because even if someone is in your life doesn't mean they deserve your energy. And this is really in situations where it's not possible to cut people off totally. So we know we've explored this broadly. It brings us to some more data on this, that from a scientific study, in epigenetic studies specifically, and there's exposure to abusers that activates generational trauma markers. So cutoff prevents transmission to your children or those who come after you. Neuroscientifically, trauma lives in the amygdala, the fear center. Therefore, you can't rewire the brain while staying in proximity of the abuser. Then from a religious perspective, I'll give you a quick read from Proverbs 13:20, which says, "He or she who walks with the wise becomes wise, but a companion of fools suffers harm." Same thing is said in the Quran, says true believers in the Surah 58:22, true believers do not align with those who oppose divine truth, even if they are close relatives. So we know esoterically soul contracts expire, and staying in expired energies contracts the soul from its full expression. So there's fragmentation. And in the law of vibration from Hermeticism, it says that anything misaligned with your frequency must leave your field. So you realize that cutoff is not abandonment, it is alignment. Simply put. So the moment you stop negotiating your worth with people committed to misunderstanding you is the moment your divine timeline shifts. If this resonates with you, type transform in the comment section. Let us know what your experience has been, how your journey has been. You know, the cutoff is not just an emotional decision, it's a spiritual activation. It's what separates the wounded empath from the sovereign empath. And when you cut them off, you cut through the illusion, you cut into destiny, and you enter into your full power. This is the whole game. If this message resonated with you, like, share, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment below. Well, the moment you realize you had to walk away and realize there's no one like you, and reach out if we can be of help to you. Keep soaring. Peace.